And welcome everyone to this week's episode of Craze's Corner. Tonight we're going to be talking about some preseason takes that we had. Some of them turned out to be right. Some of them turned out to be wrong. We're going to talk about two ones that we got right and one that we each got wrong. So you definitely want to make sure you stay tuned. You can hear maybe you agreed with some of these preseason. Maybe you expected some of these to be wrong that turned out to actually be right. So you make sure you stay tuned for that. But first, we got a couple of news stories we want to talk to. Kyle Pitts is going to unfortunately miss the rest of the season. Extremely unfortunate situation for a guy who, is super talented, just never had really had the chance to be fully utilized in this Falcons offense. Underwent his knee surgery and now will miss the rest of the season. They hope to get him back fully healthy for next year. And hopefully they can maybe get a quarterback that can utilize him a little better than Marcus Mariota had been so far this year. Next story, Darrell Henderson was cut by the Rams, has now signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they get another running back to pair with Travis Etienne now that James Robinson is gone. I think it's an interesting move. Gets them an RB2 who we've been able to produce. So we'll see how that kind of pans out, whether it's Travis Etienne, 60-40 split. We'll have to see. And the last news story, another running back, Melvin Gordon, has signed with the Chiefs on their practice squad. My expectation is that they'll just let him get acclimated to the system. And once he's fully acclimated, he'll be on the active roster. So that's two new running backs on two new teams who could have the possibility to help you guys win a championship in your fantasy football leagues. Make sure you look at your waiver wires. You analyze your team. Maybe you could use a little shot. You have some weak RB depth. Maybe you pick one of these two up and hope for the best. But let us know which of these two do you think is going to have a better rest of season. Will Melvin Gordon get fully acclimated into this Chiefs offense, or are they just going to keep that circle going where it's one running back this week and then you don't really hear from the running back position for a little bit? Or do you think it'll be Darrell Henderson, maybe Travis Etienne? This injury comes a little bit more serious in the coming weeks. Let us know using the media app. The media app is a virtual press conferencing app that allows you to host a virtual press conference from your phone. So you can use the app, go create a background. It's amazing. You can go let us know. Melvin Gordon, Darrell Henderson, rest of season. And you can check it out. It's on the Google Play and the App Store. And now let's welcome in our guests. We have Will from Media, Zach from Ocean State. Welcome in, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
I just want to get your quick thoughts here on this. You guys think Melvin Gordon's going to be able to be the RB1 for the Chiefs?
Till he fumbles.
What is no? However, though, we got to get him to Las Vegas so he can be the first player, I think, in NFL history to play for all four of the interdivisional teams there in the AFC West. So from that perspective, I'm intrigued. For my fantasy team, unless you are like scraping the bottom of the barrel for running backs, I guess you could do worse than Melvin Gordon, right? Probably punching at the 1 yard line, fumbling it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is for me, Melvin Gordon, he's the best running back on the team. He just struggles to control the ball. So, if things start to go his way and he can get these fumbles under control, I would love nothing more to see him go into Denver and absolutely pummel that defense. I think that would make everyone's seasons, except for the Broncos. But that would make me very happy to see. Jeff, welcome in. What do you think about Melvin Gordon to the Chiefs?
Great. God damn it, did I drop him?
Wait, should I pick him up? He's available right now in the league. Should I pick him up?
No. I think he's got a chance.
No, let me check that league first.
My gosh. No, I think that's a perfect place for him. Honestly do. There's no real number one running back. Some weeks it's Pacheco, some weeks it's McKinnon. I mean, it's there for him. I think it's a great place.
Definitely is. There's not too many spots where he can go in and actually compete to be the RB1. And he gets that in Kansas City because, as Jeff said, I'm not scared of Jerick McKinnon, who seems to be their snap share leader over the past few weeks, currently dealing with an injury now. But McKinnon's been that guy who's on the field about 50% of the time. Just he's in there to pass block. He's in there, maybe catch a couple passes. Maybe Melvin Gordon can come in, take a little bit of work off his plate, take a little bit of work off Pacheco's plate, and CEH is out. So I think it's interesting. He's worth the roster in my opinion.
Can we say a moment of silence for the fantasy owners that have been rostering 2 or 3 Chief running backs all season?
Oh my God! Or the dynasty owners of CEH.
Just like, you're killing me, Chiefs. You're killing me. Just killing me.
As I said, it could just end up being
shows.
Yeah,
where we were kind of like, stay away from CEH. We don't know what's going on.
It's that stupid helmet he wears now.
Yeah, it is. Those helmets are atrocious. I don't understand.
Power Rangers. It's bad.
Yeah, literally. All right, let's get into it here. We each have 3 predictions we made in the preseason. These are takes that we supported. Some of them turned out to be right. Can't always be 100% right, though. We're going to start off with some ones we did get right, though. This is one I started calling last March. I knew it was coming. Trevor Lawrence was due to improve. I saw on tape, I liked what I'd seen, but I knew it just wasn't the right system for him. The coaching staff was atrocious last year. I knew he was going to get better. They brought in Christian Kirk. I said, Christian Kirk's going to be in there. He's going to be the number 1 target in this offense, and he's going to be able to produce. My main take was Trevor Lawrence is going to be a top 12 quarterback, a guy you're going to want to have rostered in all your 12-man leagues. And he currently sits as QB 10, exactly where we thought. Christian Kirk also sits as the wide receiver 10, a guy who we all liked, I think, going into the draft process. We were all targeting Christian Kirk in a lot of our drafts because of where he was going. Trevor Lawrence has been outstanding in this new offense. I think it's going to continue to get better and better. The Jaguars slowly and steadily are starting to look like a better and better team. Maybe there's still a couple issues that they have to figure out. But when you look at Trevor Lawrence over the season so far, currently QB 10, 16 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Pretty good number. He hasn't really got involved too much running the ball, but he does have 3 rushing touchdowns, which is enough to get you, that's an extra win a week. And in that sense, I'm quite happy. He's already in 11 games got as many points as he had last year in 17. So you look at those numbers, you see the improvement, and I'm happy to say Trevor Lawrence is going to finish as a top 12 quarterback, and that will make me correct in that prediction. What do you guys think about Trevor Lawrence? Did you think he was actually going to be able to do this, or were you, still? I know a couple of you guys were on the fence. You're like maybe top 15, but he has been able to crack the top 10. Have you liked what you've seen so far?
I liked last week. Yeah. I thought there was swagger last week. Like, you just knew he was going to win. You knew he was going to go down, get the touchdown, and then do the 2-point conversion. You just knew it. Like, just watching that game, like, oh, he got this.
I think it was a breakthrough week for him this past week, honestly. He seemed to have actually brought the best out of some wide receivers. Zay Jones has been a real middle-of-the-pack receiver for a while, and now he's starting to, not like elite or anything, but he is someone that's worth rostering quite a bit this year because of Joey Sunshine, I guess I'll call him. I don't know.
Sunshine.
I'm making up names.
Yeah, I mean, you have to like what the Jacksonville organization did in the offseason, bringing in Brandon Scherf, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, and like Jeff was saying, these guys were just like either jokes to like middling players that people kind of forgot about. And like now you have Trevor Lawrence kind of bringing them back to life. Look at what Zay Jones did last week. Just putting the pieces around him. And I think these guys that are like touted as like the next, legend of quarterback from like the age of like 15, there's so much pressure on them that like if they're not like the next Tom Brady within the first 2 seasons, it's like we start to question their ability. And maybe we give these guys a little time to mature. They're, 22, 23 years old. These guys are essentially kids. So you give them some pieces to actually work with. Who was he throwing to last year? Jamal Agnew at times.
Yeah.
And you see what happens when you get a guy that you're familiar with from the collegiate level with Travis Etienne and shows success for the young man.
Can we just point out, too, that the thing about Trevor Lawrence is it's a ripple, and this will be a further discussion later on. Christian Kirk is freaking 10th.
Right.
Was 28 with Fantasy Pros. They had him 28th last year, 10th this year. Okay, he's raised in everybody's game. So
Evan Ingram.
from
You could start
fantasy,
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, fantasy, great.
Yep.
Especially if you have him in Dynasty, because you got to figure you got
it's
a
been
nice
real
maybe 10
good
year.
so far.
Yeah, that's why Zach's so happy.
And I own him in all my dynasty leagues, so I'm quite happy. And they added Calvin Ridley for next year, so I'm super excited about that future prospect for Trevor Lawrence to be thrown to as well. Overall, I'm
That's
happy
big.
with what I've seen. Yeah,
That's
it is.
big.
You give
That's
him
huge.
Christian
I
Kirk
think we forget
and
how
Calvin
great
Ridley.
Calvin Ridley actually is at football. Like, he's good.
Second best receiver in his class.
Can we give the Jaguars front office and the ownership a little bit of love too? Because they've
Not the
taken a
ownership.
lot of heat.
Not the ownership.
I mean, the little,
I will never
little cat
give the
with
ownership.
the bathing suit. Do you see the cat with the bathing suit on?
That was gross.
Yes.
That
Yo,
was gross.
Scott Hansen's live reaction to it on Red Zone was arguably the funniest thing I've ever watched in my entire. He was like, "Wait, let's go back to that Jacksonville game." We were like,
Right.
"Is that guy wearing a bathing suit?" I'm like, yo.
I would give the Jacksonville Jaguars front office some credit, but their ownership does not deserve any of
Well,
do
they
any of my
got something
praises.
right finally.
Yeah, not a bathing suit,
Yeah.
Zach. A Speedo.
I was saying,
That's what he
Yeah,
had on.
Speedo, yeah, the American Speedo
Maybe
looking
even
over
worse.
there.
Ugh.
he was all like
Let's
dancing
move on.
seductively.
Yeah, Zach, what is your first take you want to talk about here that you got correct? I know there's one close to your heart.
Yeah, we'll save that one and we'll just piggyback off of yours because we're all about the transitions nowadays. And we'll go with Travis Etienne. I projected him to. I don't know exactly what my prediction was. I know for a fact though I have a ton of Travis Etienne in almost all of my leagues, and it was on the basis of at the time what felt like me reaching. You know, some of those other pieces that were there. Whether it was like earlier in the second round, like depending on the size of the league and like how competitive it was, I felt like I was always like I had a pit in my stomach every time I took Travis Etienne because of the whole James Robinson thing coming back from the injury. But when I just looked at it, like pairing him up with the same exact quarterback who helped him like lead the country at the collegiate level and all sorts of, running back statistics out of the backfield. And I'm like, this has to work. And then, of course, James Robinson comes back from the dead and becomes the first player ever from a torn Achilles to just tear it up. And I was like, wow, was I not only wrong, but I was historically wrong because this guy's coming back from an injury no other running backs do. So I was like, wow, that's a terrible way to go out. But inevitably he gets traded. And now you have Travis Etienne, who he kind of had the scare last week with the foot injury. But I think he's one of the next premier running backs in the NFL. Going to be pushing a first-round pick next year. So,
yeah, top 5.
He definitely will be. It's the offense. The offenses look really good.
Yeah.
And you just continue to get improvements from your quarterback. That opens everything up for the running game. And Travis Etienne has looked good. Now they got rid of James Robinson, who was really a big pest at the beginning of the season for Travis Etienne owners. I know Zach was extremely frustrated through first 6 weeks with owning Travis Etienne, but since then, Travis has really come out, and he's been great.
Think about that Jacksonville roster next year. You're all of a sudden you're like, oh crap! I mean, they're too deep at running back.
They can actually win the AFC South,
and they have draft picks. That's the thing.
Draft picks.
A lot of these teams that are like my team, like we're trading away a lot of our draft capital, but Jaguars got picks too.
Yeah, you're trading away your picks. You're giving them away to spend or forfeiting your picks, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. You don't really get to take credit for trading away picks if you're forfeiting them, but
thanks, Stephen Ross.
I guess.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ross.
Thanks, Dad.
We don't want to give ownership a shout out there either.
No.
I give zero credit to Stephen Ross ever.
Yeah, the front offices in these two teams have really been doing something special. Not the ownership.
Yeah.
Jeff, what's your first take you want to talk about here? One of your preseason predictions. that you got right.
Well, I'll go with the one that I actually stand behind right now because the other one's kind of shaky at the moment. But that would be King Henry actually still remaining a top running back. A lot of people were, although the last couple of weeks he has had a little bit of a decline, but he's still at least getting you double-digit points, but still being a top running back, in the league, where people were just kind of writing him off, and you were able to get him kind of deep, in the first round in a couple of leagues. But for those that scooped him up pretty early, he's paid dividends, except for maybe the last couple of weeks and that damn fumble this week, which lost me a league. But anyway, King Henry, he's still the king in my book.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little lower on him than some coming into the season. 28 already. If you take away his first 2 weeks, though, he's only scored single digits once. So he's been very consistent. RB3, 7, 5, 15, 3, 5. And then he had RB29 and RB5 after that. So he's been super consistent. He stayed healthy, which was another thing I think a lot of people were concerned about. When it came to Derrick Henry, people were like, oh, the guy who's never been injured, Jonathan Taylor, he's a lock. He's not going to get hurt. He can't get hurt. He's never been hurt. Well, where are they now?
Exactly.
You can't predict injury. We always say it. People still seem to think they can do it. You look at a lot of people who are like, oh, yeah, I knew this guy was going to get injured. You can't. You just got to take your shot on your guys who you think can produce when they're healthy. And that's what Derrick Henry's been doing. If he stays healthy for the rest of the season, he's going to end up finishing currently RB3 in the league I just looked in. He'll probably stay around that RB3 range. Don't think he can quite get up into that Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler tier, but he's right there.
He is. And who saw Josh Jacobs there? Nobody. I got him in an auction draft for $11. And
He's steal of the draft.
Although he did just make my Seahawks look very, very injured and bad and hurt my feelings. But anyway.
But you'll get redemption against the Rams. But yeah, I like.
So.
I agree with the sentiment here. I had Derrick Henry ranked RB2 coming into the season, so I think on certain platforms I would be correct at the moment with you. So yeah, King Henry, one last hurrah, but I think I would be hard to pressed to put him as RB2 going into the 2023 season. But it's been fun.
That was going to be my question for Jeff. Where are you ranking him going into next year? Because 29, 30-year-old running back?
If I'm picking later, if it's just redraft and I'm picking later, if I'm like around 7th or 8th, I'm still going to take him first, in the first round. But if I'm kind of up a little higher, I would say within the top 5, I might pump my brakes a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. He's still a volume guy, and he's going to get his touches, and he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. But we know when the running back, when he slows down, he's going to stop. Will, anything you want to add here before we move on?
It'll be interesting to see who their quarterback is next year. I think that'll say a lot about where you take Derrick Henry.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Hopefully not Malik Willis. If it's Malik Willis, then you don't want any Tennessee Titans.
He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL.
He's not a quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
Bro, he can't throw the ball.
There's going to be a long list of people meeting that criteria next year. Yep. I can't wait to see some of the
he looked just as bad as Baker Mayfield.
Especially when you see how great this next QB class is going to look in comparison. They're going to really see how bad those guys were.
Right? There'll be teams drafting quarterbacks who have a quarterback, a young quarterback.
Yep.
It's a little bothersome when I look at the Steelers, how when I was like, please, perfect. I know Zach says something about his arm and stuff, but I think Jalen Hurts would have been perfect in that system. Kenny Pickett was not the guy for them right now. So I'm just like.
Yeah, he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL either.
Yeah.
Hands too small.
No, I don't think really. any of the quarterbacks that came out of this draft were starting caliber, but I think Hurts has found his spot. I'm not so sure he fits what the Steelers like at quarterback, as opposed to they've kind of built the system around him in Philadelphia. And I'm not sure that Matt Canada is smart enough to do that in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh might have ruined Jalen Hurts.
That's the thing. I was hoping that maybe Matt Canada wouldn't have been there if that was the case as well. No, Matt Canada is not an offensive coordinator, basically. You can leave him as a quarterback coach, maybe, but he is definitely not an offensive coordinator.
That is a very good take there, Jeff. Agree with that one. Will, what's your first take you want to talk about here? You like to keep it old?
I'm going to talk about how I was right on our geriatric friends, people who are Definized age. All the hype of Matt Ryan going to the Colts. All the preseason hype.
This guy right here. God. This guy right here.
Matt Ryan.
I did.
No.
Guilty.
Imploded.
Those of us that tried to warn you and scream, danger, no.
I thought Frank Wright could go ahead and resurrect him. He was Frank wrong. He's gone. So,
yeah, Frank wrong.
Frank wrong.
Oh my! Kick a man while he's down.
Yep. That whole thing. Oh my gosh.
That's great.
Yep. That's why he is out of a job right now.
I mean, I think there's a little bit of a lesson there for fantasy, right? Is you got to be. I think we all saw Tom Brady, and remember when Tom Brady what was his ADP when first year with Tampa? It was low, right? I mean, people were getting them late in their drafts, so I think that kind of everybody thought, oh, is Matt Ryan's going to be that? No, Tom Brady's an outlier. He's an outlier.
Yeah,
and everybody else
that is for sure.
No.
The crazy thing is, like, Matt Ryan has had one good NFL season in 2016, and like other than that, like, he's the Allen Robinson of quarterbacks, where he lives off of one good season, and it was like, I think this is it. He's gonna be good now, and it's like,
well, I mean, people just live off the fact that he was able to support wide receiver ones throughout his career. Whether it was Roddy White and then it went to Julio Jones, like he made his receiving options elite. And that's what people like. Matt Ryan's the guy who's going to go throw for 4,200 yards, but doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. Yeah. That's just he's going to go put up 4,200 yards. It doesn't matter. He's had the talent at the wide receiver position. Unlike any other, those two guys are probably both going to end up in the Hall of Fame at some point. And to me, this system, wasn't great. Now he's playing for Jeff Saturday. That's a Jonathan Taylor system for you right there. It's not a Matt Ryan system. So Matt Ryan's probably done after this. Maybe he goes back somewhere.
Definitely done.
Up next year. But
I mean,
he's going to coach.
He could.
You can see him as a QB
for Jeff Saturday. He can come join the staff.
Yeah. They'll just make him commissioner of the NFL. Since rules don't matter anymore. You're it.
Yeah, no experience necessary, No experience necessary. But if you're going to do that at any point, we know the Colts aren't winning anything this year. You might as well take a shot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people hating on the call to make him the interim head coach. It's not like you're going to pick anyone else from your John Fox. People are like, why didn't you make John Fox the interim head coach? Because John Fox has had his time and he's way past. There was you might as well make a younger guy a head coach, give him a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You get a high pick. Oh, well. Moving on to next year, it works, then you got him. But so far, it's been 50-50, He's looked good some games. He brought Jonathan Taylor back.
Yeah.
He jogs around the field before the game. I like that.
He's a player's
That's the
coach.
criteria now.
He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been terrible. I'll give him that. He hasn't been terrible.
He's the player's coach. If anyone knows how to motivate players, it is players themselves.
Like the center is like the second most intelligent person on the field at all times.
Yeah.
He's quarterback light. So,
True.
yeah.
Yeah, unless you play on the Jets, in which case the center is probably the most intelligent person on the field at all times.
And the most talented.
And the most
Yeah,
talented.
literally. But let's move on. We'll talk about my next.
White or no? Okay.
That was more of a shot against Zach Wilson, but
Yeah. Okay.
I could have said the same thing about the Panthers when Baker Mayfield was behind center. I don't know. Luckily now we got Sam Darnold here to save our season.
Sam
He's
Darnold.
back.
We're good to go.
He's back.
But let's talk about a guy that I said you could take as the number one wide receiver off the board, and everyone clowned on me for it. Guy who's currently sitting at wide receiver 3 in half-point PPR leagues. A guy
Allen
who
Robinson?
will. No, he's coming later. He's coming later. It's Devontae Adams in the Raiders offense. This is a guy who already has 10 touchdowns on the year, has 999 yards, 123 targets for 71 receptions. Those are numbers that are better than what he put up in this many games last year in Green Bay. So we've seen this improve. He had 5 touchdowns through this many games last year, up to 10. That's doubled. He has a little bit less yards, but the targets are there. That was a big concern. There's too many mouths to feed, but without Darren Waller there and Hunter Renfrow being in and out, that's been very good for him. And as much as Zach, Derek Carr, I think, has 16 passing touchdowns on the season, and 10 of them have gone to Devontae Adams. So Derek Carr doesn't even need to hit that 30-touchdown mark that Zach had been talking about all offseason. Devontae Adams is still going to eat. I said he would get to double-digit touchdowns, and I said that he was going to be a top wide receiver option. The guys that people had taken the number 1 overall wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, both ranked below him currently. Guys like Stephon Diggs and I guess, guys like Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill are over him. But I don't think anyone was really going into this saying, you know what, give me Stephon Diggs, the number 1 wide receiver off the board. Everyone's kind of like, you can go 3rd or 4th behind those other 2. So I think if you took Devontae Adams as number 1 wide receiver off the board, you're quite content with where he's at on your team. 10 touchdowns.
Okay, so
he's had massive weeks.
Well, but he's not. Jefferson and Diggs are above him in half-point PPR.
No, they're not.
Yeah. Okay. I use Fantasy Pros, and they're scoring a half-point PPR. They got
I'm on sleeper.
1.
Yeah, Diggs is 1, but I said people weren't taking Diggs as number 1 wide receiver. Diggs is 1, and then I've got Tyreek Hill in this league, and then Adams, and then Jefferson, and then Kupp. But there's a big gap between Jefferson and Kupp. It's like 40 points. It's a 40-point gap between there. This league has bonuses and stuff in it too. This is the main league I use for all my rankings and stuff because that's my big money league. So that's where I'm going off of. But, just looking at that, even you took maybe whatever you're looking at, there's like a 10-point difference between Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson. Still, you're okay with that. It's not like he's put up bad numbers like people were expecting him to. So you took Devontae Adams. He's had a couple down weeks for sure. There's been, a couple weeks. You pull up his game log. You look at it. You're like, all right, his game against New Orleans, atrocious. Yeah. Only put up 0.7 points. Week 2 against Arizona, 2 receptions. But the thing is, he had 7 targets and 5 targets in those games. Derek Carr just.
I just think it just rubs me because I think it was a lot of hype around the Raiders in fantasy because of Devontae, and it's not so much on Devontae. Devontae was Miami; he'd probably be clear cut, maybe wide receiver 1. Had like they got him instead of Tyreek Hill, right?
Right. Yep.
It depends who's right. It's just there's just something about him at the Raiders, and maybe it's the reality of this is where fantasy blurs with real. Is that Raider record is awful, and it just didn't meet the preseason hype because he was supposed to be the missing piece. So maybe it's not Devontae fantasy.
The Raiders haven't met the hype.
Just devastating.
But Adams himself, to me, has still proven he's the best wide receiver in the league.
Oh God, no! Come on, that's actually going to Justin Jefferson. But there's no way you can say Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now with Justin Jefferson doing what he's doing, setting records.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna start pulling stats out, Tyreek Hill is by far the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
statistically,
we can argue, but I can't sit here and say that Devontae Adams is still the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's having a great fantasy year. I'll own that. But he is not the best wide receiver. He's not the best fantasy wide receiver in the NFL right now. He's not.
I
he's
think
not the best fantasy wide receiver, but I still think he's the most talented wide receiver in the league. Justin Jefferson's setting records for, most in the first 3 seasons, but just because he's the best over his first 3 seasons doesn't mean he's the best currently. If I was to have, you give me a game, I'm picking a wide receiver for a game, same quarterback, same everything. I'm taking Devontae Adams over Justin Jefferson.
Hands down. No way.
Yeah,
And Zach's taking Tyreek Hill. So I guess it comes down to Jeff. And Jeff's probably going to pick DK Metcalf. So.
Well, I mean, I think Devontae Adams is one of the best pure wide receivers. And even back when I was saying the whole not being as high on him, I still admitted that Devontae Adams, if it comes down to route run, when it comes to demanding coverage, things like that, Devontae Adams is, it really depends who you talk to. In my opinion, he's 1 or 2. He's right up there as far as, and I think Cooper Kupp is the best wide receiver because of what he's able to dissect defenses from a mathematics standpoint. I think that's what makes you the best wide receiver, and then you're a great route runner. Devontae Adams.
You got Adams over Justin.
The difference is with all of these guys that even with Tyreek Hill, all the guys we're mentioning, Derek Carr is a substantial downgrade even to bad Aaron Rodgers, right? And he's definitely downgraded Kirk Cousins. So the fact that the reason why Devontae Adams is so impressive is that he went to a worse situation and almost statistically improved, which is something you can never really plan for in fantasy. Who tries to plan for the worst case scenario? We try to look for upside. Yeah. So there was no logic behind Derek Carr continuing to suck. But because he just loves Devontae Adams, it's just a pure volume play. So, you're absolutely right, though, Zach.
For devil's advocate, real quick, going into the season, where did most people have Kirk Cousins and Carr ranked? Who was ranked higher in fantasy?
Kirk.
Projection.
I had Kirk Cousins ranked higher, but I'm always partial.
Kirk's finishing between 10 and 12
every year. That's why, exactly.
Every year.
Like I said, I think the downness on Devontae isn't so much Devontae as it is the Raiders.
Currently, guys, Kirk Cousins in this league I'm looking at sitting at the quarterback 13. Absolute disappointment on the year, guys. He's not quite at that 12 mark. We could see him pass Aaron Rodgers soon, though. So it should be okay. He's got some good
matchups. Yeah.
He's got to pass Aaron Rodgers, really. So that shouldn't be hard.
That's not hard anymore.
But, Jeff, would you like to add to this conversation before we move on?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, you're arguing, 3 top guys. The only one, you might throw Steph Diggs in there. I personally, that was my wide receiver 1 at the beginning of the season. So, I'd be happy with any one of them. I do think Devontae Adams did do a lot better than what a lot of people were expecting.
Yep.
That's it. But Justin Jefferson, he's a different cat. He's a different cat.
Greatest catch of all time.
Yeah.
That's the greatest catch of all time.
I agree. I think so. Zach, let's move on to your next take here.
Is this my wrong one or is this my right one?
Your right one. We're going right. We'll end the show with all the wrong one. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I mean, what more can I say? I've been saying Tua. I've been blocked from numerous social media platforms for my love for Tua. They think I incited a riot at the Capitol because of how much I love Tua, but still, I stand behind this man. It was tough. The ups and downs of the last couple seasons being a Dolphins fan has been quite the emotional roller coaster, from everything from Flores to Tom Brady losing draft picks to trading for Tyreek Hill, getting Napoleon Dynamite as our head coach now. It was a lot to digest. And part of me, it was so cynical with my team because of just 30 years of perpetual heartbreak that it was hard for me to truly find belief in this team. And I thought it was going to be a disaster. But the little flicker of hope inside of me was that Tua would just remember who he is. And I think it's important to point out great leadership in Mike McDaniel and what he's been able to do, and just we tear people down so quickly in our society these days, and Tua was just a victim of that. And he was just a young man and didn't deserve a lot of the stuff that was thrown his way. So to have a guy like McDaniels be like, bro, remember who you are. Like you're a bad MF, dude. You know what I mean? And like he gave him that confidence to go back out there again, and rest is history. Let's go. Now people are talking about us in the Super Bowl. So it's almost foolproof. The jokes were what? Tua wouldn't be able to throw it deep to Tyreek, and maybe he still can't. I don't know how many quarterbacks can really overthrow Tyreek Hill anyway. Right. So to say that is just ludicrous, but like at the same time, it's like these two wide receivers, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, are just universally known for what they're able to do once the ball is in their hand. So even if you have a quarterback who can't throw that far, he just has to get it 5 to 10 yards in these guys' hands, and they do the rest. And they actually took the team seriously. So yeah, Tua, that's my guy. I mean, I don't know if it's this season that I was right. I've been saying Tua top 5 for like 2 seasons now, but it's nice to see it finally happen.
I'm with you, man.
I
thought
agree.
it was going to happen with as soon as they named Mike McDaniels the head coach. A lot of people were laughing. I was like, that's a damn good hire right there. I was like, that dude. I don't even think it was Shanahan so much. I really thought, a lot of the stuff that they were able to get out of San Francisco was McDaniels, and it's starting to prove to be true. And I mean, anytime, the only thing I hate is that now you got him, the team is doing so well, the defense is even coming around even more. Now you guys are pulling YMCA rules on guys where you're pulling Tua
mercy rule
when I got him in my lineup. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it's a betting nightmare when players start getting pulled.
Exactly, because they're up by so much. I'm like, dude, I was expecting him to, throw 2 more touchdowns and I'd have been solid. Instead, it's like, okay, it's 30-3 right now. They're gonna go ahead and pull him, and that's exactly what they did. But yeah, I'm glad for his success. And my dad, who is a Chiefs and Mahomes fan, I'm like, the Bills nor the Bengals are the team you need to worry about. It's that team over there in South Beach.
Let's go, baby.
You have to worry about.
Let's go.
Can we just give? I think we don't really appreciate Tua as much as we need to this season. Let's be honest. I mean, can we just say this is like his? Can we just disregard the 2 previous years and say this is his rookie year? Because I don't even think this is like his ceiling. You give him another year with this coaching staff and the talent around him, and he's healthy. Woo.
Right.
Because to me, this is what I know people love Jalen Hurts right now and Justin Fields. Nah, Tua's the package because he can make the throws. Right? He's mobile. He can.
That's the thing. It's the package. It's that whole offense. It's just that's it.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi now back. Hooked it up to my phone. I'm gonna chime in here real quick. My biggest worry about Tua was just Alabama quarterbacks are system quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. That's what we see fail time and time again in the NFL. Same with Ohio State quarterbacks. Everyone's like, these guys are all busts. That was my worry with Tua coming out, is you have to find the right system for your quarterback. I was a little skeptical this year, but Tua's found his system. This is the right system for him. They have the weapons around him to make him succeed. Zach mentioned it. Patrick Mahomes would underthrow Tyreek Hill almost on the regular. So you can't expect Tua to do anything more. So I think that he's really been exactly what the Dolphins need him to be. And he's definitely proved me wrong and shown that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And for fantasy, he's top 5 in average points per game. Yeah. And that includes the week where he only played like 30% of the snaps and scored 2 points. So you take that out, I'm sure he's higher. Zach can confidently say to a top 5 from now until we see
Please now. Yep.
something change.
I'll get to see it in person on Sunday. So big
Right.
test. This is a
Here we
big
go.
test for us against San Fran at the first of our 2 California games back to back. Then we go play in Los Angeles on primetime a week later. So these 2 games will be solidifier, in my opinion, for Tua if he's able to pull 2 dubs out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be huge for the Dolphins when it comes to playoff race. And just for Tua's confidence, you get that kind of stuff rolling into the playoffs. This is around the point of the season where if you get on a roll,
Yeah.
you could be tough
Yep.
to stop. So I'm excited to see what this team has in store, not only as they come up to the playoffs, because we know if this team makes it into the playoffs, Mike McDaniel's going to pull something out
Cool.
that we've never seen before. We're going to have something crazy.
I really got this cool play I want to show you guys.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins in general have just overexceeded everyone's wildest expectations. I don't even think Dolphins fans thought that they would be
No.
as
I've
good as
already-
they have been.
Yeah.
It's
Already
been great.
passed my win inspection. So.
Yeah, Jeff, let's move on to your next pick. It's a questionable one at this point, but
That's what I said. It's a little shaky.
Currently- still technically right.
Yeah, if it's
I
right, it's
did
right.
say that Dameon Pierce was going to be the RB1 in Texas. Everybody was, or for the Texans, everybody was talking about Marlon Mack is there, Rex Burkhead after week 1. They're like, oh no, Rex Burkhead got the majority of the carries. I honestly think they must be going into tank mode because this dude was killing for a stretch of weeks, at least getting you in the high teens, maybe a 20 here or there. Then the last 2 weeks, he has killed me and my team. 1 point last week and like maybe 4 points the week before. I think they're in full-on tank mode. They're going to try to get to the point where they're going to destroy some poor young quarterback's career. Poor Bryce Young or poor CJ Stroud. But yeah, I don't understand what is going on.
They're losing games, so they can't run the ball.
That's what I'm saying. They're losing games and making him look bad to where they knew he was the only thing special in that offense, and he was still running hard and getting yardage. They go to Kyle Allen, and now it's like we're just going to stack the box and just stop anybody except for Dare, whatever his last name is, getting the touchdown. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So
yeah, I mean,
I was right about him being an RB1 for the Texans, but now who knows what happens with the rest of this season.
Yeah, you were right. He definitely emerged. I was a Marlon Mack guy. Obviously, that hasn't turned out well. Currently could become the Broncos' #1 running back for whatever that's worth, I guess. But Pierce has looked good the last 2 weeks. 0.8 yards per carry and 1.6 yards per carry. Absolutely atrocious, but the Texans suck, so I really don't know what to expect. He's overexceeded my expectations for redraft. Dynasty, I am still out on Dameon Pierce. He's not going to be their starting running back. But in 2 seasons from now, I don't even know if he'll be their starting running back next year. Not enough draft capital invested in this guy. And we've already seen them start to move away from him at this point in the season. So we'll see what this Texans offense looks like next year dynasty-wise. But this year so far, he's by far their RB1. He's just unfortunately stuck on a bad team. And that's really it. It doesn't.
That was the thing with him coming into the season. It was an unfortunate situation for him, but he was one of the only guys that was plug and play, hands down, better than the guy already on the roster of all the running backs to get drafted this year. And I think you're going to continue to be right, Jeff, because the schedule is a little bit friendlier. The last 2 games, they got boat raced within the first quarter of the game. Yeah. So the running game is just gone before halftime. And I think that's really what comes down to it. And he's not a PPR guy. He's not a guy that's going to catch a ton of passes out of the backfield. So if they're down multiple scores, he's essentially game scripted completely out of the game. So I
They
think what they
can't.
got, Cleveland. Is it? No, not Cleveland.
Yeah,
Who do they
Cleveland.
have?
No,
They
it's
play
Cleveland.
Cleveland this week.
Yeah.
Cleveland
That's
this week.
not going to
Yes.
be. That's not going to be a good game for the running game.
It's not going to be a good game, but I think it'll be a.
No.
I think he's giving it at least 9
Deshaun
points.
Watson is going to come out this week and absolutely light the Texans on fire. He needs to
I don't
prove
know.
something this week, and he will.
This has letdown game written
Yeah,
all
it has
over
letdown
it.
game written all over it.
If
Well-
karma is real, Texans win this game.
Yeah. I don't.
Unless they start Kyle Allen, and
They're going to. They're starting
What
Kyle
is
Allen.
that? What is
Which
that?
makes no
Like,
sense.
yeah. He
Obviously,
Davis
should
Mills
Davis
is a good
Mills-
quarterback. He's not the problem.
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Well,
like you
he's
said,
not
Zach,
the
it's
problem.
deliberate. It's deliberate tanking now. It has to be deliberate tanking
Yeah.
because it doesn't make any sense at all.
I mean, the last team we saw to deliberately tank a game was the Eagles, and it seems to be working out well for them. So maybe the Texans are onto something.
Yeah, I mean, hashtag tank for Tua wasn't the worst thing.
Well, you guys tried to tank for Tua, and you failed at tanking.
And we
for
still
Tua,
couldn't
but
because
still
we
ended
couldn't
up
do
with
that
it.
good. Yeah.
You still ended
All
up
right,
with
no
him. But,
No more Tua talk. Come on. We gotta move faster.
but yeah, just the Texans are a mess right now. Unfortunate for Dameon Pierce, but this could be the highlight of his career, what we've already seen so far.
I will say though, Jeff really was on Damian Pierce. Like
He
there wasn't a ton of
You
people.
drafted him in
because
like the
people were
fourth round
scared.
in the one league.
People were scared of not only Marlon Mack but Rex Burkhead too. You know,
Yeah.
and then like I mean, I kind of saw I have Damian Pierce in some spots too, and the only person that like after the draft, like before the draft was even over, the first day of draft, Jeff was like, "What do I need to sell you to get Dameon Pierce?" So like he definitely was on the.
He drafted him in the
was on it.
fourth in the network league, did you not? In the fourth round in the Fantasy Football
I did.
Network League?
I did.
Yeah. He was way, way higher on Dameon Pierce than anyone else was. So Jeff definitely gets credit for
Well,
that.
all the RB1s were gone. So I was like, I was looking for an RB1 at that time. So
Yeah.
Yep.
that's what it was.
There you go. Will, let's move on to your last correct. Or I guess we got to move. Yeah, Will, move on to
it's
your
gonna be
last.
quick. It's the same theme as the first part. Aaron Rodgers. So Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers. Just
No love for the elderly.
So Aaron Rodgers currently sits as the quarterback 11 in this league that I am looking at.
yeah.
And he's only had one game better than the quarterback 11. And he finished quarterback 10 1 week. So he's just been average.
And I think it's not even so much where his ranking is. Outside of Watson, look, they're starting to build
That
some
doesn't
chemistry, but it's where was this 10 weeks ago? There were a lot of people that drafted Lazard, these different, what's his name, Dobbs, whatever, Romeo Dobbs, right? Drafted guys thinking, okay, he has to throw it to somebody, and little did we know he wasn't going to throw it to anybody, right? And so it just. And even though like we all thought, oh, maybe the both running backs. I mean, there's a couple of teams I have both their running backs thinking, okay, I'll play this game because they're gonna, and it's all gone to hell because of Aaron Rodgers, and that's just the truth.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Green Bay. Future doesn't look right.
Jordan Love didn't look bad.
Yeah, but they're in cap hell already. So
Yeah, they can't even move on from him. I mean,
they can't move on from Aaron Rodgers. They can't roll with Jordan Love. They really can't do anything. Whatever they do is going to be wrong.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have 13 wins for 4 seasons straight.
Yeah.
The piper comes to get paid, whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
You got to pay the piper at some point, right?
Right.
You can't have
There you
13
go.
win seasons every single year and expect to not suck eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely their time at the top of the division's already gone.
Yeah.
This is the Vikings division now.
Woohoo!
You're gonna count out the Lions like that?
Yes. Yes, I
I
will.
don't know. Might be a little bit too soon.
To count the Lions out of catching up to the Vikings this year.
Well, I'm just saying count them out in general.
Well, next year maybe, but
No.
there no team in this
Great.
division is catching where the Vikings are currently. The Vikings could lose out the rest of the season and they'd still probably win the division. So
Don't make
I
Bills
don't
mad.
think-
Don't
that's
do
as
that.
close to a lock as you can get
Wait,
currently.
I'm like Zach. This is way above my expectations for the year.
Right.
So even when they were getting blown out by the Cowboys, I was sitting there. I knew if you would ask me to start the season, were they going to get blown out by the Cowboys? Probably. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
This season's enjoyable. Every win is a victory I didn't expect.
Yeah, Jeff's team
what
is
a
the
game.
same. Jeff's team is the same. All three of your teams have been defying odds and overperforming.
I'll take it.
Yep. That we
My
stumbled for the last
not
2 weeks.
Yeah, you're still going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
you'll still make the playoffs. You still probably make it to the
I mean, the
playoffs.
Giants. If we had to the odds, the Giants are the team that's kind of starting to teeter. Maybe
They were
so are
always-
the Commanders.
They
So
were
are the
always
Commanders.
fugazi to me, the Giants.
Yeah.
I always then knew eventually that the things were going to shift.
Daniel Jones isn't gonna.
Right.
do
He's not
anything
winning
yet.
any playoff games ever.
No. So I think we'll move on. We'll talk about some takes we got wrong here, guys. We want to apologize to you guys for talking about these guys. I'm gonna start it off. This is a very sad one for me. It was mentioned
Yes.
a little bit earlier. I own him in all my dynasty leagues.
Oh.
Currently placed on IR.
oh,
Allen Robinson. This man
Ooh.
really let me down.
Ooh.
He had the opportunities, and him and Matthew Stafford were just not on the same page.
there's your problem right there,
Matthew
Stafford.
Pafford.
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding out hope maybe something changes for next year. Maybe he gets a little bit more going, but this year, 33 receptions for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Not
Not gonna cut it. Not going
Right.
to cut it.
That was good.
Wow,
Zach.
he's 1/3 of a was that 0.33333?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, yikes.
So we'll just apologize. Allen Robinson, you need to be better. And hopefully Matthew Stafford is not your quarterback next year.
Jimmy
Been
Garoppolo.
rough. Been rough. I'm going to continue to hopefully hype him up going into next year. But
It's
he gets
everything.
one more chance.
Death.
and
It's
that's it.
death, taxes, and people hyping up Allen Robinson in the preseason.
There it is.
Yeah, Allen Robinson. We need a bumper sticker on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been rough as someone who owns Allen Robinson. You're like, oh, okay, he scored last week. Put him in my lineup this week. Nothing.
We need to put Allen Robinson, DJ Moore, and Cortland Sutton in a rocket ship.
DJ
And
Moore
just-
is not the problem.
Just send them into outer space because I'm sick of having them on my team.
DJ Moore is not the problem.
Yeah,
Baker
it's a
Mayfield
problem.
was the problem.
I can never know when to start him. That's the problem with DJ Moore.
Sam Darnold starts at quarterback. You start DJ Moore. I said that
Fair.
Sunday
That's
morning on the
That's
pregame show we do on the network. I was like, guys, you can start DJ Moore this week. Sam Darnold's playing, and DJ Moore is his best week of the year because Sam Darnold's playing. He's got a quarterback who is at least competent. Baker Mayfield was not. But anything else you guys want to say about Allen Robinson before we move on here? No. All right. I think we beat that. I wanted to talk about Russell Wilson because he sucks, but we've already talked about him way too many times. So I figured I'd go to one that hurts a little bit more. But Zach, you're next. Quarterback position. What you want to talk about?
Yeah, as a guy who's so in love with Tua, you'd be surprised that I was so enamored with this guy going into the season. That's Justin Herbert, the Oregon Duck. I actually had him overtaking Josh Allen being the quarterback one this year. I thought it all makes sense. Third-year quarterback. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, those aren't even the good wide receivers on the team, ironically.
Yeah.
And Austin Eckler, Gerald Everett, you're like, okay, they can't – every year they're hitting on offensive linemen. Like they just get better and better each season. You bring in Marlon Mack, you bring in J.C. Jackson, and what a disaster that AFC West is for the most part, including the Chargers.
This was supposed to be the best division in the league, and the Chiefs are good.
Right. Shocker, But yeah, so I was super wrong on Justin Herbert, and it's, just to prove it, like in a pretty competitive Superflex expert league I'm in, like I took Justin Herbert at the 101 just to prove my point. Like I really truly believe that he was going to take the step forward, and Josh Allen inevitably would regress, which maybe that's happening, but like not
Still
to
a
the degree.
QB1.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't matter.
Or
Like even
QB2, I guess.
even with a down season, Josh Allen is still just incredible, and Justin Herbert is just unfortunately, I think, a victim of the circumstances around him. Essentially lost Keenan Allen for the whole season.
Yeah.
And Gerald
it's
Everett's been great, but that's only so much your running back and tight end can get it done for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think the offensive system they're using there just time to get Herbert, a new offensive play caller. They need a new head coach in LA.
New head coach.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I'm saying. They need a new head coach
Staley
and they need a
horrible.
new offensive play caller. It's been rough this year. Currently in the league I'm looking at, he's still the QB7, so at least he's still startable.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, and he's got some good
Startable.
matchups coming up. He plays Las Vegas this week, which we all know everyone can throw against Las Vegas.
Right.
That's a tough game, though. That Raider-Charger game is always a tough game.
It's okay. He had his looking at this, his third best week so far this year was against the Raiders week 1. So
He always
maybe-
plays balls against the division.
yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the offseason. But yeah, he lost his wide receiver 1 for majority of the year. Wide receiver 2's been out.
But are we really surprised that? Are we?
No.
I mean, I think that's the thing we have to recognize too with him is I think we put too much faith in those wide receivers staying healthy, and they never stay healthy.
Right.
I mean,
They
Palmer's
need a
looked
wide
great.
receiver.
Palmer's looked great.
Yeah.
I think to me, he's overexceeded everyone's expectations for him, and he's been able to fill that wide receiver 1 role, to the best of his abilities. He's definitely not a wide receiver 1, but he's been able to do it all right. It's just you can't lose.
Can't blame Austin Eckler. It's like
No.
Austin
He's been
Eckler
good.
currently the RB2 only because
Yeah, right.
Josh Jacobs went off for 300 yards last week.
But let's look at this. Look at the beginning of the season. People were questioning Austin Eckler, and it was that offense. It was like they weren't even handing him the ball. They were giving it to Sony Michel. It's like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
We're sorry, Austin. You deserve better than that.
With the copycat league being, the NFL, it's like I can imagine the Chargers are looking at the Tyreek Hill thing and going, oh, okay, looking at Trevor Lawrence, looking at all the other quarterbacks that take a step forward when you actually give them reliable, elite pieces at the wide receiver position. And Keenan Allen has had his time, but let's be honest, even on the field, is he really going to make a difference like Devontae Adams at this point in his career? I say nay.
There was never a point in his career where he was making a Devontae Adams impact, but
Yeah, true.
close.
True.
He was a dominant wide receiver 1, and he's not that anymore.
No.
That was supposed to be Mike Williams this year, and
Not.
he's not healthy. So what they need to do, they need to retool. They need to bring in new coaching staff and some new talent for him to throw the ball to, because Gerald Everett, as you said, he's been good. He's been a reliable tight end when it comes to fantasy. But just to be able to be a good, fantasy relevant quarterback, you have to have good weapons, as we've seen with Tua, that can do things on their own. And you need to run the ball. And up until the past few weeks, Justin Herbert really wasn't running the ball. You look at this, he has no rushing touchdowns through the year, already a bad. If you want to be the QB1, you need to run the ball.
Right.
He hasn't been doing that. So just that way, it's been rough for him, but maybe next year he'll bounce back. Own him in a dynasty league, hoping for the best. Still 24, so he's got 10, 15 years left. As long as the Chargers don't keep this coaching staff and fail to bring him any weapons, he should be fine.
He's Vince Young. Changed my mind.
Whoa.
I hope not. I really hope not.
Whoa.
I
You
think
say
he's going to
Vince
change
Young?
your mind.
He's Vince
I
Young.
mean, look at this. Look at this. They hire Brandon Staley, hoping that he's going to fix the defense because the offense is already great. This guy came in and broke both the defense and the offense. Got all
And
these
he
great
got all the
players.
talent he could want on defense,
Exactly.
Right.
and he can't put it together.
Yep.
Especially when
Hopefully-
Jeff Saturday was available.
Yeah.
Literally, Jeff Saturday the Chargers would probably be a playoff team with Jeff Saturday at head coach right now. And that's a sad thing to say.
Yikes.
But Jeff, let's move on to your preseason prediction that didn't quite pan out. Goes along with one of Will's predictions we talked about earlier.
And you know what? It had a glimmer of hope at the beginning of the season, maybe around weeks 2 and 3, and then it just flamed out with an injury.
Go.
Romeo Doubs becoming the number 1 wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He was on his way. Took 2 steps out the door and then tripped. And Christian Watson got healthy, who I dropped because I have both of them, trying to figure out which one was going to be the man.
No.
Oh, dude.
Ended up dropping Christian Watson and found out that I had the wide receiver number 1. However, I dropped the guy that was going to be him later on. I do have him in our Dynasty League, though. But
there you go.
Yeah. Romeo Doubs. There's still hope for him, just not this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone was kind of hoping they could pick the right wide receiver for this Green Bay Packers offense. And if you pick the Green Bay wide receiver, you got it wrong.
Yeah.
But there is no number 1 wide receiver in this offense. Alan Lazard is like a 10 target per game guy so far this season, and it's amounted to him being the wide receiver 31. Yeah. And that's around where he was going in drafts. So maybe he didn't, bust per se, but you were hoping that he was going to be a top 12 wide receiver. Just goes back to what Will said. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to do it this year. And no matter which wide receiver you picked, even if you had Christian Watson, who's been great these past 3 weeks, there's no way you held him to the last 3 weeks in a redraft league.
Christian
was
Watson?
On your waiver wire.
Yeah, I picked up Christian Watson off the waivers.
Exactly. If you held him throughout the beginning of the season, you were just wasting a roster spot. So I don't know what you were doing. Any smart fantasy owner would have had him on the waivers. Yeah. But here we are now. Aaron Rodgers may eventually be shut down for the year. And who knows what's going to happen at the wide receiver position. Will, you already harped on it. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No. Yeah. Yeah, that was a hard take for fantasy.
Yeah.
Who was trying
Let's
to
move
play
on.
the game.
Will, what is your last pick you want to make here?
And look, I was wrong about this, but it pisses me off I'm wrong about this. It's James Cook with the Bills. And I'm mad at the Bills coaching staff because I still don't understand what the hell they're doing at running back. I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not saying James Cook is a clear-cut RB1, but he's had 2 weeks this season where you saw glimpses of what he could be. And maybe it's just a year early, maybe it'll be next year. But, some of these coaches, I think it goes to a couple of teams we've been talking about. They're outsmarting themselves with these running backs. Like, look, I get it. It's nice to have 3 running backs. It's all something great. But take fantasy out of it. Get a guy in there and play him. And I don't know, for the life of me, I don't know what the Bills are doing at running back.
Well, that's the thing. To me, last season coming on, I was like, Devin Singletary is finally starting to show up. So that was the only thing that was kind of, perplexing about the whole James Cook thing. And it was just like, they just don't run the ball. That's kind of what it is. It's weird. They don't want. But
that's why I like Cook, because I thought he was the running back out of the backfield that would become the receiving running back. And then if you look at his game log, I mean, he actually had 2 really good rushing games, like over 7 yards a carry running the ball. You haven't even really seen him in the passing game, to be honest with you. And it doesn't make any sense. So I don't know if it's the quarterback. I don't know if it's the coach. But it starts to scare you about some teams, like you can't even just touch. Any running back with the Bills, you can't even touch because you don't know what they're going to do every year.
Well, and they got 95 wide receivers.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, it might be McKenzie. Now it's Gabe Davis. Definitely Steph. Then there'll be somebody else.
It's going to be Odell.
Was it Shakur? Whatever that kid. I was like, everybody was catching touchdowns. It's just like, they're not going to run the ball. They're going to throw it. And that's just
a lot of people thought James Cook was going to be the guy that you draft him in the second round to be the guy, and you just don't give him the opportunities. He's had 18 targets so far, and he's only caught 9 of them. So I don't know if that's a Josh Allen thing. I don't know if that's a James Cook thing. He's not where Josh Allen wanted him to be.
Well, it's weird because one of the most impressive stats that he had coming out of Georgia was that he led the country with the least amount of drops amongst running backs. So and I think when you have a running quarterback, I think your PPR value kind of goes down automatically from that dump off factor, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely been weird. I love seeing the Bills in shambles, so I hope it continues to degrade there. But yeah, I was with you, man. Like he was my pick in my dynasty, in my first round draft pick in dynasty.
One pick before me. I'm so happy
before you, and you were going to take him. You were going to take him, right? Yeah. So like he was almost a unanimous first round dynasty rookie draft pick.
Yeah,
and he hasn't really. You haven't been able to use him. You might have gotten lucky and started him one of those last couple of weeks, but yeah, it's strange to see them not utilize him more.
Singletary's been by far the running back one on the field for the Bills, and he has 40 targets on the year. So to me, if you were to give those 40 targets to James Cook, you're probably getting a lot more production than the 200 yards you got out of Devin Singletary. So I don't know what the Bills are doing. Devin Singletary is averaging 7 yards per catch right now, and I think James Cook's number was around 14. I'm just going to pull it up here real quick. 13 or 12.2. So already he's been more efficient with his touches. As Will said, 3 games over 7 yards per carry for James Cook so far. He hasn't been on the field for more than 27% of the time, and that's not okay for a guy you just drafted in the second round. Yeah. Maybe we'll see him come on in the playoffs. He can be one of these playoff saviors for the Bills because they're going to need to run the ball. If they want to win big-time games, you can't just throw the ball and expect to keep up with the Chiefs. We've seen it before. It doesn't work in the playoffs.
I mean, their defense gets worse and worse each week, too. So they're going to really have to get creative.
Well, Von Miller's out now for a little bit. Like Tre'Davious White's back.
He just came back.
For them, but I mean, he's been cleared to play for the past 5 weeks, and they just decided this week we'll bring him back. No idea why, but it's been a mess for the Bills. Really, the team that started off so hot, and then
when you look at the running, I'm going to gripe one more second here. I'm on Fantasy Pros. He's the 55th running back. He's behind Chase Edmonds. He's behind Penny. He's behind Madison. He's behind Henderson. I don't understand this. There's no way this guy should be the 55th running back in fantasy football. And so, like I said, I'm mad I'm wrong on this because this makes me next year. I don't even want to mess with the Bill players next year.
Right.
Maybe James Cook's going to be such a value next year. And you're going to be looking at him. He's sitting there in the 10th round, and people are like, nah, this guy sucked last year. I don't want him. And we're all going to be sitting there like, well, he could be good. He could be good.
But there's just certain teams you just stay like the Chiefs. I won't touch the Chief running back right now. The Patriots.
This year, apparently, you could start Ramondre Stevenson week in, week out, but up until this year, you could never start Patriots running back.
It's weird. It's like the best teams you don't want their running backs.
Right.
49ers are that way.
But it's like, give me Saquon.
The Rams, right? The start of the season with the Rams, there's no way you could have told me that Cam Akers was an RB1 week 1. And here we are, and I still don't know who the heck this running back is going to be consistently with the Rams. And I
think Bryce Perkins, I think, is the RB1 now, their quarterback.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, Kyron Williams, I guess, is technically their starting running back now, but he's not been what I've wanted him to be so far. Just some teams this year have disappointed. Packers, Rams, Broncos.
Yeah.
It's been
Broncos. Emphasis on the Broncos.
That's right.
Broncos country. That's right.
We talked about the Broncos a lot. We'll
Zach does
end
it the best. Come on, Zach, do it, man.
Ooh, that is
Do it one time
dangerous.
for me, Zach. Come on.
You ever do something dangerous? Broncos country. Broncos country. Raises the stupid fucking balls in his hand. Bronco country. Let's ride.
There it is.
Yeah, I usually like to just do jumping jacks in the airplane. Most people I encounter absolutely hate me with all of their being. Yeah, and
Did you see? Only they had to put a story out. Oh, half the team went to his birthday party this week. Half the team.
yep.
Really?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was
he's the worst.
All I saw was one looked like a second string defensive player yelling at him on the sideline. And
Bro,
I
that was their
just like,
starting defensive tackle. Shelby
I don't
Harris
care who it
isn't.
was.
Shelby Harris isn't no second string defensive
I couldn't
player.
see who it was, but
It's Shelby
I
Harris.
would have been like, dude, don't you ever come up in my face on national television and yell at me like that.
Yeah,
Why?
especially with a
Some
name
of them
like
deserve
Shelby.
it.
Russell Wilson.
He deserves it. The
Yeah,
defense
yeah.
is playing their ass off week in, week out, and Russell Wilson has given them nothing.
They weren't playing their ass off against you guys.
Well, it's because Sam Darnold was playing. You can't do anything because Sam Darnold's on the other side of the field.
That's
Sam
right.
Darnold's
Yelling at
amazing,
him,
guys.
He's
Panther
like, hey,
country,
I didn't
They're
throw
the
a pick.
best scoring defense in the league, and
was
they
like,
just
hey.
happen to have the worst scoring offense in the league.
I didn't throw a pick. I actually threw a
Zach
touchdown.
Wilson was able to score more points so far this season than Russell Wilson has.
I'm
So
talking about against
what's that
you
say?
guys. He didn't
That Jets
throw-
offense is scoring more points than this Broncos offense. And
I
Zach
don't
Wilson
think
was the quarterback.
I don't think it's entirely him. His head coach is horrible.
Don't
His
care.
head coach is Nathaniel Hackett. Should not be.
We know
a head coach right
Nathaniel
He's
Hackett's
a
part
hack.
of the problem, but any
Daniel
elite
Hack.
level
He's-
quarterback,
A
that we
majority
think-
of the problem, and
Any-
so are those damn receivers.
any
Everybody
elite
keeps talking
level
about
quarterback,
how great Denver's receivers are. They are not. They have shown you
Yep.
they are not great receivers.
Cortland Sutton is Allen Robinson. They're the Spider-Man meme, just looking at each other.
Exactly.
I'm you and you are me.
Okay. But you know what? All this could be true. All this could be true. Everything, just because one thing's true doesn't mean the other thing's false. They could have bad wide receivers, and Russell Wilson could obviously be done. His career's over. It's over.
well,
Oh,
we've
he's
seen
washed.
good quarterbacks
He's
can
washed.
make it no matter who their head
Washed.
coach is. It doesn't matter
All
at that
I
point.
know-
Russell Wilson's been a terrible. You can
All I
still have a
know
bad coach and look good.
It's
Look at
for
Justin
how
Herbert.
much they're paying
Look at Justin
me
Herbert.
to
We
have
just
you
talked
come
about
up
Justin
and yell
Herbert.
at
Look
me.
at him.
Like, do you
He's
know how
been
much I just
disappointing.
got paid? I can pay somebody to beat you up on the sideline right now.
Yeah,
Get out my face.
Yeah, you ain't gonna have a first name Shelby and yell at me.
It-
All right. Like,
There
The
you
fact
go.
that he took it, the
Would
fact that
anybody
he stood
dare
there
do that to Tom
and just
Brady?
said, okay.
Even if he played his worst game. No. Aaron Rodgers playing horrible.
Yeah.
You don't see anybody walking up to him doing that. I'm just like, they are punking Russ. That's
Russ
all it is.
he was definitely like, whatever you say, neighbor.
Yeah. He just stood there like,
Yeah, you got it, Bucko.
yeah. If he would have turned around and be like, man, if you don't get out my face,
Yeah,
I
for real.
think Twitter would have erupted. I think people would have been like, I'm giving it to Russ. But that's why people don't like him, because he's just like, oh, he's Flanders.
No,
He's a
the-
quarterback
no one-
Flanders.
So you said no one would go up to Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady and do that because their team respects them. This Broncos team does not
That's
respect.
that's exactly what I'm saying. They
And
don't
if
respect
he-
him because Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, they're always digging into somebody, even when it's their fault. Aaron Rodgers has thrown horrible passes, and all you see him.
But that should make
Do
you
that.
respect him less.
Yeah, he blames his own play.
What's that?
He'll
blames
throw an
the team,
interception.
but the
blame
team still
receivers.
respects him because they know he's a
Exactly,
good
that's what
quarterback.
I'm saying, because he commands respect by the way he responds. Russ doesn't dig into anybody. That's why
This
they
never
stopped
happened.
respecting him in Seattle,
Yeah.
because he's too nice of a guy when he doesn't need to be. That's the thing.
He just hasn't been playing good, and he doesn't. If the team doesn't believe
He
he's going to be their
hasn't-
quarterback,
He has not been horrible. He was not horrible. He was not the reason for you guys winning that game.
how many
You didn't throw
touchdowns
any
did he
picks.
score?
He's not.
He
He's
scored
not helping.
one, but it's like
in garbage time against the other worst offense in the league. He could only score 1 touchdown in garbage time.
Hey, I'll
That's horrible.
quote Giselle Bundchen.
That is horrible.
If what is he supposed to do if the wide receivers can't catch the ball? And that has been a lot of the problem. What is he going to do if you have a running back that fumbles 19 times? Melvin Gordon, we're looking at you. So I'm just saying, dude, there's a lot of problems, and that all comes from the head coaching in that whole organization right now. It's the organization is garbage. That's what it is. You can't put it all on Russ.
But you can put a good majority of it
on Russ that he was going to be the savior. And now that it's not, it's like all they did was take a new shiny wheel, put it on a car that the engine is horrible. That's basically what they did.
Yeah, I don't know, Jeff. I think Russ doesn't. Honestly, to me, Russ looks like he doesn't even give a crap about football anymore.
Yeah, because he got paid a whole bunch of money.
I think Russ is like ready to just be like, see ya.
I think he's like, this season is done. I'm not even really worried about it.
He got that Subway money. He don't care about it.
Exactly. They just paid me a boatload of money. What are they gonna do? I can't get it back.
He's like, bro, I got free $5 footlongs for the rest of my life. I don't give a shit about shithole Denver. Like it's fucking cold. It's cold 9 months out of the year here. Yeah, I can't breathe outside because of the Denver air. He's like, fuck this place. The Pacific Northwest is so much more beautiful.
Yeah. You can't throw for 8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and say you're not part of the problem.
No, I'm not saying he's not part of the problem, but it's a whole problem. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not saying he is the single. He's not Zach Wilson. Put it like that. Zach Wilson is the problem with the Jets. Whoever else you put in there right now with the
Zach Wilson's the solution.
Is that what? The solution.
You got to ask what the question is. You got to ask.
He is the solution to losing.
What's the question?
He's the solution to me because I hate Jets fans and they suck. So I enjoy
Jets.
I can't root for a guy that looks like he should be playing the role of Ken in this upcoming movie of Barbie.
He looks like every evil racist frat guy to ever exist. You know what I mean? Like his dad definitely bought him like a fucking Audi for his first car, his freshman year. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, Chad, we're going to Chad's house after fucking. You know what I mean? Like no one's ever yelled at him in his life. Like the confidence when he said no twice in his face.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to punch my phone. Like, not only do I hate the Jets, but if I needed any more reason besides their horrific uniforms and the fact that they can't even get their own stadium, oh man, yeah, fuck Zach Wilson. Let's go.
But I will say I'm nervous this week.
What?
Mike White season?
Yeah,
no.
Look, I'm telling you that Viking Jet game is going to be way closer than people think.
Mike White is the GOAT.
Mike White is also not good at football. I'm just throwing this out there, guys.
This goes back to last season. This is exactly what Mike White does. He comes in for one game, sets the world on fire, then he throws 5
shits the bed.
Yep. Exactly.
So
people are expecting him to. People are expecting him to
New England threw for 400 yards.
The savior.
I know what he did, but I'm just saying he's done that before, and then the following weeks.
Yep.
It's he's horrendous.
And it was crazy. It was last year with that Michael Carter explosion.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is like flashback all over again. And
30.
So that was his best game ever because he had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. But if you go back to last year when he set the world on fire, his touchdown to interception ratio is even worse than Russell Wilson's currently. It's flip-flop, 5 touchdowns to 8 interceptions.
Oh, my God.
So if you're going to have stats worse than Russell Wilson, not a good sign.
Country, let's hide.
Joe Flacco.
What's
the best option at quarterback?
Vikings defense this week if I have them. I'm starting.
And they screwed up.
Thanks for jinxing me, Jeff. Thank you very much for jinxing me.
I'm also starting the Vikings defense.
Oh, you know what? And on Sunday, I'm going to make sure I call both y'all.
Yeah, you're going to be like, I'm starting all the 49ers.
No,
No,
I'm
but-
benching every 49er I got this week.
Their
Mike
favorite,
White's
man.
going to disappoint this week and next week, and it'll be Joe Flacco's team the rest of the season.
There it is.
Okay.
I want to see Joe Flacco go into somewhere and win a playoff game. That would make me so happy on the inside if I could see Joe Flacco win.
The
another
Jets
game.
aren't going to make the playoffs. I
I don't think
don't
they're going to
understand.
make the playoffs either.
Why is there is assume these
The
guys
Jets
are
can
gonna
make the playoffs.
They can. They have 53% chance.
Yeah, so if the last 3 of their 4 games, I think they could probably win 4 of the last 4
They
games.
got a revenge game coming because they beat us with Skylar Thompson, and they thought they were
that's right.
so awesome.
I don't
Like,
really
yeah.
know how much you guys are going to play come week 18.
I think we're going to have to because we'll be playing for the bye week.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be competing for the bye week. I don't think you guys are going to have, that. So I think you guys will be like, let's be smart. We'll play maybe a couple quarters, but I think the Jets can beat
If we're mathematically not playing for a
Yeah.
bye week, then yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
the Jets can beat Detroit. The Jets can beat Jacksonville
I don't think so.
I'm
the Jets
questioning about
defense.
Detroit, man.
alone.
I mean, the Bears defense is very, very, very bad.
Exactly.
So I think we have to take it with a grain of salt.
Oh,
And
I'm talking about
remember
Joe Flacco.
how bad.
Hold on.
Well, I was
I'm
just
talking
saying,
about-
just remember how bad that Jets
Yeah.
game was against.
I'm
the
talking about Joe
Patriots.
Flacco at quarterback here for these games because I think they play bad against Minnesota and Buffalo, and Mike White gets benched, which then puts Joe Flacco on the field for Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle, and Miami. And I can see them winning 3 out of those 4 games. With Joe Flacco
I don't
at
know,
quarterback.
man. I Detroit is no longer the floor mat of the league. I'm very wary. Anybody that goes into play at Ford Field or wherever they go.
You
They're
can't
playing
do
New
this
York.
quarterback flip flop every few weeks and expect it not to have a ripple effect through the rest of the team. It's inevitably gonna.
I think they should have gone to Joe Flacco for this.
I thought they would. I thought they would.
Yeah,
That
Zach
was the
Wilson
direction they should have gone. And they
Zach
screwed
Wilson is like a more feminine Baker Mayfield.
up. That is the perfect comp for Zach
You know what I
Wilson.
mean? Like he doesn't have enough.
He'll be out of the league in 2
He
years.
doesn't have moxie.
Yeah, he doesn't have the swagger that Baker has.
I mean, no one in, and I don't know if you've been to the part of the country where BYU is located, but not the most eccentric characters. So
No,
Right.
going to Brigham Young.
I've seen the videos. I've seen some interesting videos from their campus there. Quite the place. Quite
Yep.
the place. But we're gonna end it there. We talked a lot about.
Yeah,
Went off
let's
the
end it
rails.
there before we get in trouble.
Yeah, before we get canceled with
We
more.
ended the show about 20 minutes ago. I hope you guys enjoyed the rambling that went on after we ended the topic of the show. But it's been a good talking. We like to talk about these guys. Jets suck, Broncos suck, Rams suck.
Love it.
We really nailed it on all 3 of those right there. But let's end the show here. We will definitely be back again next week. I want to thank you guys all for joining, Zach, Jeff, and Will. I hope everyone at home enjoyed. You can check Zach out on his socials at Ocean State FF along the bottom of the screen. Jeff at Media MPC, and I'm at Pro Football Craze. Make sure you tune in Sunday morning if you have any questions. We will be live on the Fantasy Football, or I will be live on the Fantasy Football Network answering any questions you have. Feel free to send us a DM and go check out the Media app. Definitely go download that in the Google Play.
Send Zach questions on the media app as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Send Zach questions.
Yeah, send me questions.
Yes. Eat both of them. The other Zach
both.
has an account too.
Send everyone
Anyone
questions.
named- Anyone named Zach, send him a question.
There it is.
Send everyone a question. Just go download the app and just press random people and send them a message.
There it is.
Might as well.
There it is.
Send
Go
it
ask
my
them.
way.
Go ask them if they think the
Come on,
Jets will be able to make the playoffs.
Charlie Murphy.
Great. That's a great.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
Great.
I'll be in San Fran, so I'll post up and be like, "Yo, I'm riding on a trolley thing, and
There you go.
let's go Dolphins. Let's go."
Damn
Jimmy
it, Zach. If
Garoppolo.
I'd have known
He's-
earlier, man, I'd have made my way out there. It's only an hour away.
Hey, listen, I'll be there Friday through Monday, So
Man, I'll check my schedule, see what I can do.
all right. I'll take a trolley.
All
All
right,
right, Joe.
there it is.
They'll be on trolleys going right towards each other.
Yeah.
And put in slow mo. They'll both be standing at the front, like,
Yes.
Oh shit! Nice.
That's the picture we'll end the show on.
That's
Just think of
interesting.
Zach and Jeff on opposite trolleys, like waving at each other. And then they'll drive right by each other because they don't know how to work.
That sounds likely.
All right, let's end it here. Hope
All right.
everyone enjoyed.
Thanks, Zach.
Take care.